you should always be growing. And if you're not, you're losing, you're failing.
Welcome to Stay Paid Insurance and Financial Marketing. Unlock the secrets of success in insurance and financial services, where each episode delivers valuable tips and strategies to elevate your marketing game and help you succeed in both life and business. Brought to you by Reminder Media. Welcome to Stay Paid Insurance and Financial Marketing. My name is Joshua Stike, along with Luke Acree, and our guest today is Tracy Lounsbury. Tracy is a top-producing, annuity-focused insurance agent, global annuity advisor, and founder of the largest annuity-focused social media group, Annuity Giants. Having sold millions of annuities himself, Tracy has helped educate and train over 40,000 licensed advisors and has been a top 1% producer himself. Tracy, welcome to Stay Paid. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Tracy, man, excited to have you on the show. Love what you said about, hey, you just need to make more money so you can buy back your time right before we came on. I'm like, yes, that is what I need. I need to make more money so I can buy back some time, because I don't know if anybody in the audience feels this. It feels like, oh my gosh, you blink and the day goes by. And one way to make more money is to generate more leads so you can close those leads. And you're doing a lot through Facebook. I would love to hear kind of, Facebook as your lead generation platform. What are you guys doing there? And then we can get into some of the details of the leads and the follow-up and stuff.
Yeah, man. So I'm not going to say that I'm a Facebook guru by any means. But what I will say is, being a guy that's out in the field and producing, it does give you kind of a different view as to maybe like a marketing company, just because you see what people really want, what they really are looking for. And I'm really against like deceptive advertising. We see it all the time, right? They say one thing, some hook, and it's just like, is that really realistic? I come across ads all the time. It's like, 10+% returns on annuities. I'm like, no, that doesn't happen. At least not an average. So I wanted to make sure that when we started down that path, which context here, you name an advertising, avenue, and we've done it. I've done seminars, I've done webinars, I've done referral marketing, I've done billboards, I've done local advertisement, I've done TV, I've done radio, I've done Facebook in the past, and it didn't work out for me, but I'm just in a different spot in my career. So something that when we set out on this journey, which is still fairly new, it was always going to be around like really ethical advertising. Like, don't be deceptive. Don't make it a bait and switch. Highlight the things that an annuity can do, but don't make it seem like it's the best thing since sliced bread, and just make it educational, right? So like, if somebody is really going to dive into, your initial ad page and your ad copy, just give them everything, give them the whole kit and caboodle. And then if there's somebody that's like, oh, this is different, I'm going to go click on this and go to a landing page, which is what we do. Then it's, then you learn more about us and you learn more about our process. And then that leads them to a high intent survey, and they can book an appointment from there and all that. So doing that, our cost per lead is still pretty darn good. But it's a lot more quality. People answer the phone when we call them. People are booking on our calendar. And I don't have to like jump through this hurdle of like, oh yeah, we said that, but it's, it's not necessarily that. It's like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, time is money. Let's talk about the problem that you have and let's see if we can solve it.
Are they educational type ads? And then are they video based, image based? What type of ads are you seeing or working right now?
So we haven't dove into the VSL yet. I say that, but we did just launch, it wasn't necessarily VSL, but it was an AI-driven one. So
okay.
It was an AI
like one of these AI videos that's saying what your script was?
Yeah, you got it. Yep. So, and I guess that's doing well. I'm not really paying attention too much to that side. My partner does that. But it's just ad copy with the picture.
Okay.
And the image definitely is important. You see a lot of images out there where it's like X versus X, right? And we look at more of like, why are we trying to create competition amongst other retirement vehicles? Why don't we create a X and X, or like, how does this supplement this? Like, you see a lot of like IUL stuff out there right now, right? So like IUL versus 401k. You see, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's probably, if you click on one of those, Facebook's algorithm will put you in front of 500 million of them, and they're all the same. And they're all like 401k versus IUL. but none of them are IUL and 401k, IUL and what you're already doing. How does this supplement what you're doing? Because that's kind of how it's designed to begin with. And that's that's what we're taking is like, how do you do both and why should you do both? Here's why. Here's some data on it. If you want to learn more, click on this.
And is the call to action scheduling a calendar invite with you, or what's the call to action that you guys are doing?
Yeah. Mostly? So from Facebook, you can do a couple different ones, but you can go from Facebook, you can do lead form, right? Yep. So any lead form from Facebook is going to create a lower quality lead, right? Okay. But it's going to give you volume. So if you're a producer that's like, man, I have time, so I want volume. I want my budget's here. It's not here. I can go beat the streets. I can go, make the phone calls, dial till I die, whatever. Then that's probably the route to go. But always have from the lead form, always have the ability to continue down a funnel. Like, don't just stop it there. Hey, you filled out this lead form. Now it's landing page, right? So go to that landing page, and the landing page is going to be for us. It's just educational. Super educational. We've done a couple different landing pages. The top of the landing page is very important because people won't scroll down unless there's some type of hook there. And I exploit my family for that. So I have this beautiful picture of my family with my twin boys and my 3-year-old. And we exploit the crap out of that because people love that. And then it's information, a little bit of info on me, just so it's our hook is nothing else matters unless you know that it's credible, right? So here's some credibility context. Now keep scrolling, right? And that's done really well. Yeah, that's done well. And then it's essentially here's some information, and then fill out a high intent lead form, and then they can fill out this form and it comes to us. And then here's some more information. And then if you didn't fill out the high intent lead form, click this button, it goes back to it. And then once they've filled that out, then it's another funnel that says, okay, you've done this. We're going to run an analysis on it. Go ahead and schedule on our calendar. So it could just be that first lead form. It could be the high intent form, or it could be, booked on your calendar with the high intent form, but you're still paying the exact same cost for all of it, right?
Okay. What is your cost on average that you're seeing from your Facebook leads? What do you guys see on average?
So for the low intent Facebook lead forms, it's anywhere from $9 to $15 a piece.
Yeah, that's great.
Which is, I think that's pretty industry.
Yeah, it's good.
Average,
yeah, I mean, that's where we're at, like right around there.
Yeah.
Industry-wise. Yep.
If you're doing the high intent ones, it's about $40 a piece, $40 to $50 a piece. And then about 10 to 20% of those will book on your calendar. So we're messing around with advertising right now where it's essentially you're going through filling out that survey, which is about 10 questions. And we ask about assets, risk tolerance, goals, the basics. But you can't submit it unless you book an appointment. Now, some people may say, well, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity there because people are just going to say, nope, I'm not doing it. But if your goal is that you don't have time and you're willing to pay for that type of an ad or marketing practice, yeah, you might drive your costs up to $100, $200, whatever dollar per appointment, but at least you have booked appointments. Mm. And if you're somebody that's like, yeah, I'll spend thousands of dollars to sit and have a full calendar every single day, you can now scale that infinitely.
Yeah. Awesome. So talk about then, because you got the leads figured out. Now the next step is you have to call the leads, right? So whether it's the high intent or the low intent, obviously high intent is going to be an easier call, those low intent leads, because you've trained tens of thousands of advisors, and you talk about this idea of how to know, or how to make sure that you're ready to start selling. So like, what are you training advisors on saying, or how to approach your leads?
It all starts with foundational building, right? And I'm sure millions of other advisors that train would probably say this too. And I would say this is the core that needs to be driven home. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down or talked with another advisor that has been doing this for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And without sounding narcissistic or anything, they're not even close to the knowledge base that I have or some of the advisors that I have. Why? Why is that? I don't want to beat you up and I don't want to make you belittle you, but why? Why did you plateau? What is the reasoning for this, right? If you're not continuously learning, you are dying, right? There's a great book out there. It's called Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck. If you guys haven't read it, I would. Talks about the growth mindset. You should always be growing. And if you're not, you're losing, you're failing. And I think that's what a lot of advisors, they get comfortable, and comfort creates chaos, in my opinion, in a sense, which I know sounds weird, but it's true. So I'm all about that foundational building. How can we make sure that this advisor or agent really knows an annuity like the back of their hand? They know the good and all of the bad. You have to look at it objectively, because if you don't, everything's a nail and you're a hammer, and you're going to go sell instead of solve. If you're not solving a problem, you're creating one, right? So very foundational building. Once we have that foundation, your phone, I guess, rhythm, your cadence, whatever, that's going to come over time. Everyone's going to have their own, I'm sure there's scripting and things like that you can use just as like a base, but you're going to throw all that out the window when you have your own rhythm and your own cadence. And that's just going to come with volume, which is why when you're newer, you just got to get in front of more people for cheaper. Find what works, find what doesn't. You're going to figure out how to talk to people. I don't know if jumping into the annuity side would be super advantageous. I started with life and Medicare. So, I was able to get in front of people super cheap. And really, if I missed a sale, it was not a big deal. In annuity side, it hurts when you miss $1 million sale, or more. So, it's just repetition, getting through repetition, talking with people, finding your voice, and then just be educational, right? Something that I think separates me is, I do recordings with prospects and we share them with agents on our platform and all that. If you listen to my cadence, you would never think I was selling anything, right? Which, I'm not in that initial call. I'm solving. It's like, I want to know more about you. I want to know about your problems. I want to know about your concerns. I want to know about what is this hole or gap that you have in your life or in your finances that maybe I can help with. If there's not, our conversation's done, right? I'm going to say, go back to your advisor, take him or her out to lunch. She's doing a great job. He's doing a great job. You're going to ride off in the sunset and be okay. So it's just educational. If you can't reasonably articulate what you're doing and how you're solving problems, then you're not going to do very well. So find out how to do that first. If it sticks, it sticks. Move on to the next if it doesn't.
Yeah, it's so powerful. The more competent you are, the more confidence you'll have in your actual presentation. And when you reach the highest level of sales, I shouldn't say highest level, but when you reach higher levels of salesmanship, you do realize that I don't really have to sell this person. Like you do, but you don't. All you have to do is figure out what is the pain point they have. And more even important than the pain point actually is the desired result, because they have a desired result that they're trying to get to. And so then you go, if that's your desired result, well, I am an expert in this industry, so I know the pain points are X, Y, Z to try to get to that desired result. And then all you do is just present solutions to that desired result. You just go, hey, look, and this is, what we've done. This is how we do it. And I have found most of the time when you do that for people, they buy. they buy. You don't have to manipulate them. You don't have to push them. Like you literally, they buy because you have laid it out so clearly. But most people do not have the competence, like you're saying, because they haven't actually educated themselves on the product, on the pain point, on all the different avenues. And so they go into it with a one-track mind, almost scripted, because they're searching for their outcome versus searching for the client's outcome. And that's the way, you're going to become a master at sales, is if you can make that switch. I'm curious, like the number of calls, though. People always struggle because they give up too soon on a lead. What have you found? I know there's no magic number. What do you guys find about like giving up and when you stop calling, or how many calls? Like, what's your philosophy there?
Man, this is a great one, because I got example after example of like, I'm going to give up, but I'm going to do one more call. And it was just like a monster, right? So if you're paying for volume, right? I would say your cadence should be this. I've learned over the years that, like I said, I've said now a couple of times, time is super valuable, but if you don't have time, then you more than likely have money. And if you don't have money, more than likely you have time. Okay. So if you're somebody who's like, man, I could, I'm struggling financially, you got time. Okay. I guarantee you got time somewhere. Okay. So when I had more time before I had a family and yada, 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 excuse, I was also a lot more buff and fit and all that. We won't go down that path. So when I had time, I was trying to not sacrifice too much time with my wife or girlfriend at the time, whatever, fiance. I was, but I was, you got to make some sacrifices so that you're building the lifestyle you want to build. You just try not to make too many. But what I was doing was I was making sure that I would dial the lead right away for one. Okay. Give it like a couple minutes as it comes in. You don't want to, sometimes it's weird. It's like they just hit submit. It's like bidding, I don't know, something about that just screams like, is this a scam? So give it some time, dial that lead right away if you can. Okay. Be cognizant of time zones. Okay. Something agents like, I'm in Michigan. I'm going to go advertise in California. That's a 3-hour difference for me. Lead came in. I want to dial in the morning. Well, it's 9:00 here. It's 6:00 there. Right. So that's a problem. Be aware of time zones. So I only advertise in Eastern time now. So be aware of that. But also I like to double dial or triple dial. Yeah. I'm double and tripling annuity leads. That's right, folks. Even I'm not a final expense agent and I still do that. Okay. So I'm doubling and triple dialing. And I'm using different phone numbers, you got these CRMs that you can have phone numbers attached to. You got this handy dandy schmancy thing called your cell phone. I still use my cell phone even to this day. I have an office line through, different softwares and whatnot too. So I'm using different numbers. I'm using toll-free numbers. I'm
Love
yada,
that.
yada. Okay. I'm mixing it up. I'll find that sometimes like one number is blocked, the other one's not. I've had leads that I called 5-6 times my cell phone, and then I call from another number and boom, they answer. Don't know why. So try different numbers. You can get them for pretty cheap. Dial it right away. Double, triple dial. Leave a freaking voicemail. Have a script. Leave a voicemail. Why the heck not? It shows you're a human being. Why aren't you leaving a voicemail? Hey, this is Tracy Lounsbury. Just giving you a ring about X, Y, ABC. I have some times available here in the future. Give me a call. Yada, yada. Okay, here's how you get a hold of me. Dial me at this number, blah, blah, blah. Okay, super easy script. This is why I'm calling you. Okay, I know it was important to you. You're doing that kind of like assumptive close. I know this is important to you. Let's get the information out to you, yada, yada. And time, as in morning dials, afternoon dials, evening dials. If you're somebody that can't commit to doing an evening dial session all the time, pick one day out of the week. Okay, if you're somebody who can't commit to a weekend day, guess what? Go pick one weekend a month. I can't tell you how many times somebody worked 12-hour shifts and I didn't know that. Couldn't get a hold of them. I dial them on the weekend and it is just a $30,000 sale, $50,000 sale for me. Okay.
Jeez.
I mean, just a monster. I mean, time and time again. Also, make sure that once you go through your, let's just say you've done mornings, you've done afternoons, you've done evenings, you've done weekends, you're at 8 to 10 dials on somebody, whatever. And I don't count, I more count sessions than dials. So it's like, 8 to 10 different sessions. It could be, who knows how many dials, double that at least. Then you're putting them into what? What are you doing with them? Okay. Do you have a lead nurturing program? You can build them out through almost every CRM out there. You don't have to be a genius. Go watch a YouTube video on it. You can build out a super, super easy one. I actually stole, not like legally stole, but I just took a bunch of information from what other people were putting out, articles and yada, yada.
You did
Created
R&D. R&D, rip off
Say that
and
again?
duplicate. You did R&D,
That's
rip
right.
off and duplicate.
That's right. Yeah. I was watching another advisor out there say, hey, this is really cool. They have this newsletter system. I'm just going to go take their newsletter, plug other people into it, and boom, you're onto the races.
Brilliant.
So it's generating a ton of leads for me. No, but does it cost me any more time? No. And if it's one, is it worth it? Yeah, because an annuity lead, go into a sale, how much could that possibly be worth? Could be worth a couple grand, could be worth $100,000+, right? How much time did you put into that?
Yeah, it's so good, man. As a consumer myself, there's been things that I have done over the years, and the salesman is calling me, and I actually do want what they're offering, or at least want to learn more about it. But every time they call me, I am tied up in something. So I'll ignore them. I mean, there's times I've ignored them, 10 calls, 12 calls, and it's just like, no, I actually do want that. But every time you're calling me, I'm like in this meeting or I'm tied up with something. It's like you have to realize that consumer is living their own journey. And just because they don't answer doesn't mean they don't want to. It just means, hey, they're just not out of time. You got to hit them at the right time. I love that. So you've been really, really successful. I want to ask you just, these are more higher level, but I always like to pick the brain of successful people. When you look back on your life, right, and you look back on the things that you've accomplished so far, what are the main principles or things that have stuck out to you that maybe you would teach your kid, or that you would go back and tell your younger self, hey, this right here, this is it. And because you look over your life and you go, yeah, that is really played out true. Some other things haven't played out true, but that is absolutely principle wise or strategy wise has played out to be true.
There's no secret, and this is going to sound like no duh, Tracy. But it's just don't compromise on your morals. It never goes down the path you want it to go down. Have I in the past? Yeah, I'll admit that. I've compromised on morals for a sale, but I learned from that, right? I learned that is not the right way to go about it. Being a guy that was raised a certain way, my parents would not be proud, and I would, that whole like, would you do this to your grandparents? Well, how much do you like your grandparents, right? So would you do this to your spouse? Would you do this to your kids? Whatever. Just don't compromise on them. A lot of people. I have a law enforcement background, so just understand that ignorance is not a defense to the law. Is not a defense to breaking the law, right? Well, I didn't know. Well, too bad. You're still going to jail, right? So this is why knowledge is so powerful, because if you're not constantly consuming knowledge to be better than you were yesterday, which is something I pray to my kids every single day, is like, God, make us better tomorrow than we were today, right? Make us better today than we were yesterday, right? You always want to strive to be better. Actually, I was going to try to steal that brand, but Alex Hermosi, I think, got that literally, I swear it was a month before I was about to brand it. So just be better, in general. So I would just say, be better as a person. Don't sacrifice on your morals, always strive for knowledge. And when you fail, everybody says fail forward. And that's 100% true. Failure has this way of teaching us lessons that nothing else can replace, right? There's a lot of quotes out there, but I would tell everybody that the reason why I am where I am at today is because I just failed more than you. I just failed a lot. But every time I failed, I didn't fall backwards, because now I'm 6'1". I'm 6'1" in the wrong direction. I'm going to fail forward. So I'm 6'1" closer, right? So just fail forward.
Awesome,
That's
man. Great.
Great.
So talk about Annuity Giants. I know you've got this social media group. You got a training platform. How can people get involved in that? What are you doing with that? Yeah.
So people think I'm like an IMO or I just sell a training platform, and that's not true. 90% of what I do is producing, and I always will produce. It's something I'm super passionate about. But a while back, I started going to events and hearing other people speak, and it's like, well, I think I could do better than that. Just being a confident guy, not narcissistic, just confident. And I said, I'm going to start, could I do this? Could I just maybe try a speaking engagement, whatever? So I tried, and I paid to do it, and it was successful. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I do know something about annuities. And so I started speaking at a lot of different events, teaching agents, and then had nothing to gain from it. Didn't have a platform, nothing. So I was like, you know what? All these people have Facebook groups. I'll start a Facebook group. So I started the Facebook group, and within a year and some change, it had 4,000 something members in it, all annuity licensed agents, financial advisors. Yeah, it was super fun. And what was different about it was that I looked at it more as a database, right? So when somebody asked a question, I made sure that the answers were accurate. I made sure that there was no funny business going around. Like, you tried to break a rule, you were gone. People would message me like, why'd you kick me? Like, I'm going to block you. Like, I was so strict. So we probably kicked out 12,000 people, somewhere around there, 10,000 to 12,000 people.
That's
nuts, over the course of about 2 years.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So people would come in, we would just remove tons of them. It's like you break one rule, you're gone. Cause I already know what that's going to look like. I know what's going to happen behind the scenes. And I didn't want my group to become that. So I started kicking out a bunch of people, and what it did is it created this really awesome database that you could go into the search part of the group. You could search anything about annuities, find post after post, and learn better than an IMO could teach you. So I was like, well, this is pretty cool. And then people started to ask me, Tracy, how are you successful? What are you doing? So that's when we started the training platform. So, video series on my sales system and what I do, video series on, there's a document section in there where we essentially customize documents, all sorts of different documents, fact finders, sales documents, handouts, all sorts of stuff. I create them with a designer, and I use them daily. So these are things that I use to be successful, right? And hey, I want to change something on there. I change it, I re-upload it. Okay, and I tell everybody, make sure you re-upload the new version.
That's incredible. How much is this? How much would someone pay for getting access?
It's bad, dude. It's $20 whole a month.
Dude, that's daylight robbery. How are you? No, I'm just kidding. That's insane, man. Why so I don't want to call it cheap. Why so cost
cheap,
effective?
Right? No, it's cheap. Yeah, it's cheap. Why so cheap? I wanted to make sure that no matter what area in your life you were, you could get good education.
Okay.
Right? I am not break even on it. I'm not even close to break even on it. I mean, the platform itself cost me 6 figures. You know, the amount of time I have hundreds of hours of content in there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The knowledge, the fact that you're re-uploading when you change the document. Yeah, if you do annuities or you want to do annuities, you'd be crazy not to go get that right now. And I don't, we don't, obviously, I didn't even know you had it. That's crazy though to me, man, because what I love about what you're doing is 90% of what you do is producing. So what you're putting up there and what you're putting in there is stuff that you're doing, and you are a massive producer. So it's like, why not mimic
I'm puking it out there for everybody.
Success leaves clues. But you know what's so funny is like, and this is obviously the theme of our podcast, like so few will take action on it. Maybe 1% in this audience, even listening right now, will actually go and spend the $20 in the time. And you know what's sad is maybe let's get 1% to go spend the $20. And then 1% of that will actually watch and read the documents and use them. And it's like, come on, people, if you don't like where you're at, you got to do something differently. But I don't know what it is. And you gotta really, like, I think what it is people run from accountability. And the most important accountability is the man in the mirror, is looking at yourself in the mirror and going, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm going to force myself, to do this. And it's like the people who do that win in life, and they do what you said. They fail fast. They fail every single day. It's like my dad's a pastor, and it's like I think of Paul in the Bible. It's like he said, I constantly do the things I don't want to do. And, but I'm trying not to. And it's like that. It's even in your Christian life. It's like it's constant just, trying to live out the way you're supposed to live out. But it's really interesting stuff. Great stuff, man. Everybody should go do that.
Yeah, Tracy, thank you so much for coming on. Before we close out, let people know how they can get involved with Annuity Giants or connect with you.
Yeah, so if you have questions for me, you can always email support@theannuitygiants.com. If you want to connect on the platform, you can go to theannuitygiants.com. You can always search us on Facebook. It's Annuity Giants Agents Academy, but you're not allowed in the group unless you're a subscriber. So yeah, that's it, man. Or you can always find me on YouTube, all that. I try to put out as much content as possible, educational for agents.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it so much. And thank you all so much for listening. If you can head on over to staypaidpodcast.com to get the show notes, and then we'll include all of the links that Tracy mentioned as well in the show notes of the video in whatever player you're listening to. You can find them there, or you can go to staypaidpodcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode and want to show your support, head on over to Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star review as well as a comment. We'll read it here on the show. And the best way to support the show is to simply share this episode with someone that you know. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com, or you can message us and follow us over on Instagram. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Man, Tracy, thank you so much, man. You're a beast. Appreciate all the knowledge you just dropped and shared. I encourage everybody to go check out his training program, his Facebook group. Take action on that. But, my action item for you is like knowledge plus execution is power. And one of the things that he said in here that I even think for myself, and because I was training some salespeople before I came here on a call, is, do you actually have all of the pain points documented down that you've learned? And do you actually have all the objections even? And do you have the actual answers for those objections? And what I found is most people, they just try to wing it. They think they're going to chatty Cathy somebody into like buying their product. It's like, you're supposed to be the advisor. You're supposed to build the trust, but you can only do that if you have what Tracy said, which is the competence, which means you've put in the work. And so what I would tell you to do as your action item from this episode is sit down and write out the main objections that you get and the pain points that your clients face, and actually ask yourself, what is your educational answer to these objections, and make sure that you have that memorized, you have confidence in that, because it will affect your closing potential. Remember, the difference between top producers, mediocre producers in every business is top producers take action. Take action on that today.